Welcome everyone to LPO Talks is the first episode. Thank you for being online right now. About 10 people live. Thank you. We have a guest of honor today. I think I can call him a good friend, also a colleague, the voice to me of Orlando City in Espanol, Sergio Ruiz Torres. We're going to be talking to him regarding his life, soccer, some football. We're going to talk about some past, present, and what's coming in his career. Coming up, Apple TV deal. I think everyone in the community has been static of those news, having a familiar voice that they've heard throughout many years, be part of something that it's huge. So thank you for everyone that is listening as well on Spotify and Apple Podcast. This is going to be played, and his contact info, his Instagram will be on there also in the description. Make sure to check out our social media outlets and our links right there in the description of both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So thank you so much for being with us. And if you are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook, drop us a comment and we'll read it live to Sergio as well. Sergio, how are you, my friend? Good to have you. Welcome, and very proud of your accomplishments, my friend.
To be here with you. One advice, please, everybody, active the subtitles because I'm learning and practice my English. But it's great to be here, and I'm the first in this special part.
Well, I'm happy to have you. So, if you stumble upon, I can translate. That's not a problem. So, Mark Rodriguez drops us a comment saying, "Saludos, Luis y Sergio. How you doing, my friend? Bienvenido, Mark. Gracias." This is Chad Elders. It says, "Nice pick, my friend." It says, "How do you share Apple TV stuff with your buddies? I heard it was up to 5 people." Jeez. All right, we'll go from there. All right. Well, so thank you so much. Now I want to say LPO Loud and Proud Orlando will be live at 8:30 as well. This is a 35-minute talk. So I wanted to thank Sergio for his time as well. So let's just dive in. So Sergio, you are from Venezuela, right? And typically Venezuela is known for, you know, some of the most beautiful women in the world, right?
Mhm.
And Miss Universe like back to back
Seven times.
or 7 times, right? And
Yeah.
then baseball, right? Baseball as well. And I will say, and this is me also being South American, the last, I will say 30 years, it's been Venezuelan soccer has been on the rise and on the rise and then up and up and the up and up. I will say, yeah, about 30 years. So, how do you, living in Venezuela, you grew up there. How do you arrive in the United States?
Well, I left Venezuela in 2014. I was a VP of news of a major media group, uh, three newspapers, three radio stations, and one TV station. And I received threat from the government. They told me, "We are going to kill you." And
Oh
then
man.
I told to my wife, "It's time to go," and run to United States. Yeah, I'm here by asylum. It's the way to stay here at the start, and I'm happy to be in this great country that give me the opportunity to grow and to work like a journalist.
No, and that's right. And touching back to every immigrant has a story to tell, right? And
Hmm.
like I said, not a lot of people that, like for example, my parents. Like they came. My mom is an accountant, and my dad is a finance type of guy. But when they came here, they had to start from scratch, right? Not a lot of people have the
Hmm.
luxury and the chances to do their work and excel like you do it like here, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's, God has blessed you for that, and I'm so happy to hear that. But you were commentator in Venezuela, so you were actually commentator, narrator of different matches in the Venezuelan league. Do you know what team did you cover? Because
Uh, the name is Mineros de Guayana. Is Guayana City is a place in South Venezuela. It's the same state that the waterfall Angel.
mm-hmm.
Do you know the Angel Fall?
So, mm-hmm.
Is in the same state, Guayana City,
Oh,
and
Guayana.
the local team is Mineros. Has around 40 years in the first division of the Venezuelan league.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
And how was that experience? If you can draw back, your time there, and how football for you, how do you get it? How do you get into football, right? And into soccer specifically, and what are some of the difference that you see here on how we do journalism here, or how do you um, handle the games here specifically?
Well, I was a play-by-play announcer since the elementary school when my friends was playing, and I'm playing the role of play-by-play. Um, it's very different because Venezuela is a difficult country, right now, and then too. Soccer in Venezuela is very different. The teams always have financial problems. Many are managed by people from the government. So they play, for example, in one season, and in the next season, they change their name or just disappear. It's
Oh, wow.
very difficult. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you know, here we talk about how Venezuelan football is growing tremendously, and you can see it now in La Liga. Darwin Machis, he's playing
Hmm.
in Valladolid,
Is
and
here with
with Kyle Aaron. That's
Kyle
what I'm
Aaron.
gonna
Yeah.
say. Yeah, I know they're like
Hmm.
best buds now.
Yeah.
So, and how do you see this the growth of the MLS specifically? You've been covering Orlando since its inception, since the beginning of their MLS, when they said Orlando's coming into the MLS 2015. How have you seen the growth from the league up till now? And is it true? Do you believe that it's true that in South America everything is better? Because you get that a lot, especially me when I cover, let's say, Peru. They tell me, "Oh no, the MLS, you go to
Yeah.
retire there." Like, you've seen the growth, so if you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. The problem is, everybody, especially in South America, uh, are thinking that it's the same league that we have in the beginning,
94.
1994, for example. Yes, in 1994, we had the pleasure to see here historic players like Carlos Valderrama, Diablo Echeverri from Bolivia, and a lot of great players. But right now, it's not the same league. If you see the numbers, the MLS was the second league to export players to Europe
Yeah,
in this transfer window. This is big because the new bridge to make the trip to Europe is United States. It's not Argentina. It's not Mexico.
it's not
It's not
Mexico,
Brazil. Is the first name in the list.
right? Because
That
they have the
is
money
the top
too.
of the list. Yes, Brazil, and then is the MLS, and you can see the new players arriving to the league. Uh, for example, Facundo Torres, Cesar Araujo,
Thiago Almada,
Thiago Almada, Ezequiel Barco in a moment,
Enzo Copetti.
guys with 22, 23 years, so young.
Yeah, and I want to say, and I want to add to what he says too. I mean, Enzo Copetti has been targeted by major European teams, but again, some players. I mean, there's not a lot, and South Americans do not understand this. There's not a lot of investment in the sports anymore down south. There's not a
And
lot of, unless you're Brazil. Nobody's investing in soccer down south. At least I can say for Peru. I don't know about Venezuela.
It's the same.
It's,
And everybody saw here, for example, Miguel Almiron uh, going to Newcastle in the Premier League. And I think players like Facundo Torres, for example, I think it's the last year of Facundo here in the United States. I, I, I
yeah,
I can see Facundo in the future playing for a major team in England or Spain or Italy,
yeah, yeah.
and this is the new path for every player that have the dream to play in Europe.
And not only that, but they give you the tools. Like, I mean, if you follow the process and they give you the tools, the tools that no other country can give you, because the only thing you got to do is just play and eat
Hmm.
well and just
Hmm.
do what your coach says you need to do. Like,
That's
it's
it.
the easiest thing. They put everything else. English teacher, they do everything else. Translating, I mean, they help you out with everything. So I've never seen that.
And the most important thing, concentrate in play,
Yep,
and no more.
that's right. So let's go a little forward and trace a little back here. Actually, Telemundo, right? You arrived to Telemundo. How did you arrive to Telemundo? I mean, was it, was it an odyssey? Because I mean, when you hear Telemundo, I mean, you're talking about right here, right? I mean, Telemundo is a big name in
Yeah.
TV. I think worldwide. I mean, so how do you arrive to Telemundo, and how do you get to work with Orlando City eventually?
Okay, first, Telemundo. I started in Telemundo in 2017. I was a guest to talk about MLS and soccer worldwide. And then I get a position like a freelance reporter, reporting not sports, reporting every news in the city in Orlando. So NBC bought the station, and because of my experience in Venezuela, I end up being a news producer for Telemundo, and it was my position at Telemundo for the last 5 years until 3 weeks ago. I was a news producer for Telemundo.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
And you know, I
And Orlando
think
City, the other part of the question,
yeah,
sorry. I came to Orlando City in 2014. I was working as a sports anchor at the local Univision station. I remember that Lenny Santiago, do you know Lenny
eh,
Santiago, right? Lenny
yeah,
Santiago was, it's a great friend, was the VP of communication for Orlando City. He was with Kaká for an interview in
wow,
Univision.
yeah,
Kaká was the first great name in
that's
Orlando City
yeah.
history. And I simply asked him, to Lenny, if they need people for the Spanish broadcast. And he told me, we are just looking and we find.
Oh, so they
And
haven't found
my,
anybody.
yes, my answer was, okay, here I am. And that's
That's
it.
that's right. And then
Yeah.
15 years later, right?
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, I'm happy for that. So,
Mhm.
truthfully, before you even knowing about the existence of Orlando City, right? Now, today, February the 6th at 5:17 p.m. What does Orlando City mean to you?
Oh wow, Orlando City is the thing of my life for now. It's a special. Orlando have a special part of my heart. 8 years broadcasting every game of Orlando City, almost 260 games,
Wow.
living, suffering, love,
I
crying
was I
for
was right.
Orlando.
I was your neighbor right there. I remember when they used to put me in the room right next to you with the other gentleman, Ismael.
Yeah. Uh huh.
Right, and then I will say, "Hi, how you doing?" And I will recognize, because I will recognize you. Obviously, you're the voice of Orlando City, and it was just very surreal with the first time I actually came into the club. But we'll talk about that later. But you know, so Orlando City does mean a lot to you.
a lot. For example, during the pandemic, 2020, difficult year for everybody.
Yeah,
Uh,
horrible.
the MLS stopped no games and no nothing. You remember, around 4 or 5 months without games. It's a problem for everybody. And Orlando never stopped to pay me without games.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's very big for my family in those difficult times with the pandemic. That the what Orlando do for me is
That's the best
unbelievable. It's,
gesture.
it's,
I
it's
mean,
the best. Just so I want to send a special thanks to Marco Perez, my boss in Orlando City. Um, First, the family will,
mhm.
because it's very big for somebody in that situation, continue to receive payment during
Yeah,
a
I mean,
pandemic. Yeah.
I mean, businesses and companies don't have to do it, but I think the pandemic affected so many people, me included. Also, I will say on a personal level, it was some of the worst times, and I will say that, and honestly, just like you, I mean, to me, it was more emotionally. I mean, I got very heavily attached to Orlando on a level that I never thought I was going to get attached to in the part of getting the chance. And I want to thank
Mm-hmm.
Alonso, if he's watching, thank Alonso to give me the chance to cover Orlando. And those times were tough for me, at least, too. So I mean, I think
Yeah.
everyone was, and for them to do that, that's a huge gesture, and speaks a lot of what the culture of the club is too. And that's what a
Yes,
lot of people miss to see, right?
and the most important thing, it was not an obligation. They
Right.
did it from the heart,
Hmm.
and it's very big, very special.
And from all those 8 years, what was the most
From
special?
the beginning.
Yeah, I know you've been through Christ era with Inchi era,
Adrian Heath
Adrian Heath.
was the first. Then Jason Christ. Then the
Um,
guy from Louisville,
yeah,
James O'Connor.
James
James O'Connor.
O'Connor. Yeah,
Yeah, and that beautiful era with Oscar Pareja.
yeah. I mean, and a lot of people miss that with Oscar. I mean, the times that, I mean, there were, I think every year as an Orlando City fan, in the sport, you suffer, right? And if you don't suffer in soccer, then it's you have to suffer. Every team suffers. No team is always staying right in the top unless you're like Real
Yeah.
Madrid or something like that, right? But I do believe that, I mean, it's been quite an improvement, not only coaching wise, but front office wise as well, communications wise. I mean,
Mhm.
it's night and day. And I will say, from all those 8 years, what's been the best game for you? Like the goal that, like, I mean, I mean, that it almost brought you to tears, maybe, because I mean, in order to narrate a game, and that's why I tell people, narrating a game, it's an art. In my opinion, you cannot, nobody you can just read a book and just narrate. I mean, you got to be either a natural, or you truly have to master narrating. It's not easy. So
Mhm.
and you have to bring those emotions, because the job of the narrator is to paint the picture that you cannot see,
Yeah.
right? You have to listen,
Be, be the
right?
eyes for the people that
Exactly,
only
exactly.
listen. Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I've seen personally, when I had to cover in South America or in Peru, um, common narrators crying. I mean, you're talking about crying, or very angry, very sternly. What was one game that truly like brought you? Like you're like, okay, this hit me. Like this is either for joy or sadness.
I think there are three games that are very special to me. Three. The first one, the opening game in March 2015,
El tiro libre de Kaká.
1-1 tie versus New York City. Kaká, the first goal of the history of Orlando, and 60,000 people. the
Yeah.
stadium. What's a great atmosphere. Wow, was amazing. Then the playoff game versus New York City in 2020, the most crazy
Yeah.
shootout
Ever. I remember
penalty
that.
ever in the soccer history for many reasons. Galeza Senov,
Yep. He
the
was mad.
referee, the referee making the goalkeeper change
Belongs
was
to
not permitted.
OBT, right?
Yeah, uh, that guy, that referee, don't have the count because Orlando make the goal by or no, New York failed the famous stop by
Rodri-
Rodriguez Legel,
Rodriguez, yeah.
and the referee end the game, and Orlando
Yeah.
have another penalty shootout. That was crazy. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
that was crazy. I remember the running on the wall. Remember when the wall went
Yeah,
from
in
one?
the U.S. Open Cup,
Yeah, yeah,
I was on the stands. Uh,
yeah.
we no transmitimos ese juego.
Sí.
Uh, pero that game in the playoff on 2020 was very, very special. And the U.S. Open Cup final. The
Yeah,
U.S. Open Cup final being the first title in
yeah.
the history for Orlando, like a MLS team.
You wouldn't believe, and a lot of people don't believe it, but I mean, to me personally, that speaks. Like, I'm so happy that that group of players are in history now for Orlando City because
Yeah,
as I remember them in 20 like 2 years before that, like there were some of them that were rumored to be out. Like Urso, people were complaining about how Urso is not performing well and how Mauricio needs to go,
Mauricio. Yeah,
and then they're delivering the only trophy, I would say major trophy in the city of Orlando. There's a lot of people don't get because there's the first major sport trophy in the city of
yeah.
Orlando because
It's true. Orlando never.
Eastern Conference Finals. I don't count it. I don't know if you count it for Orlando Magic. I,
No,
I
no.
I don't count it. I mean, it's not
It's
the
not a
big one.
title. It's not a
Yeah.
title.
So, uh, aside of your um narrating and how this came about with Apple Plus. You started how did this came about? Did they reach out? Did they saw your work? Obviously your work is everywhere in the club. And then you know how
Yeah,
did that came about? Because I mean personally when I heard it, I'll be honest with you, I was so happy. Like I actually like I was like, wow, this is fantastic because and I'm telling you guys, when you see people that you've seen like every other day, we'll be in commission together, and the type of person Sergio is like always very, how you doing, like zero ego, like zero, super humble person, and then you see that type of person like get up there, like that's, I mean, I love that. I don't know, but
thank you, thank you.
tell us a little bit about how that came about.
They saw my work, obviously. It's a dream for me, actually. I need to wake up every day and oh wow, this is real. This is real. I'm going to work for Apple in the new season with MLS. It's a big step for my career. Uh, a little bittersweet because I know more the Spanish voice of Orlando City. That's a fact right now because I going to work for the entire league. Okay, it will be weird for me because when Orlando start the game versus New York Red Bull, uh, I will be in another stadium. that's
Wow.
that's big for me, but it's a dream. It's again a big step for my career. Be part of this historic movement for the league. All games in only one place, and be part of this is very big for me. Yeah,
Well, it's huge, and again, and I want to commend the league too because it's night and day from ESPN, and I say that with all due respect. I mean,
Mhm.
just to see the profiles of every team, the stuff that's going to be available for not only Society 21 members and season pass holders, but just regular people like myself. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, the content is tremendous there. And I'm so happy for that. I'm so happy and so proud of you, Sergio, for being part of that.
Orlando have a great piece uh,
Yeah, with Miguel.
with Miguel Gallardo voice.
Yeah. If
Uh,
he's watching, Miguel, un
very
capo, hermano.
very
Right.
good, very good compact. Around 9 minutes of Orlando City history. It's a very good job from the team, and that's it's a big difference because the ESPN content uh, was the ESPN content, but now all communication departments, all media of the teams are being part of this. Uh, that's the reason why you have that piece with Miguel Voice.
That's
Okay,
fantastic.
and this happened with every team in the league. It's very big, and it's just the beginning. More and more content is coming through the platform of Apple TV.
That's great. I think it's a great move by not only the club but by the league because now over 100 countries, like I could be overseas and I cannot miss any game, and I think that's something that no one gives you that.
The
We have
Tacoma Gym.
questions. Yeah, we have questions for the panel right here. Jim D, why are the Spanish speaking announcers always more entertaining than the English speakers? Is it mostly cultural? And thanks. And that is a very great question. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
But the answer is there. It's much cultural, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. We do this maybe with more passion. I think passion is the first thing that come to my mind when in front of the I stay in front of the microphone. Uh, but they can do the same. I don't know why, but it's the same. You can say, uh, "Great shot by Facundo!"
Yeah.
Like in Spanish. I don't know why,
Why
but
are you yelling? They're gonna be like, "Why are you yelling? Why are you yelling?" About like my wife. Yeah. No, I think it's just emotion, right? I think
yeah,
it's just the way we are. I mean, it's for us is I mean, at least for where I come from, it's a religion. Like, it's I mean, and that's what I'm saying, you gotta the
I know.
emotions,
I know a
you have to
partner.
narrate emotions, right?
Yeah, I know a partner in Fox Deportes, John Laguna.
Uh-huh.
He don't screen the goal in Spanish,
Uh,
but
wow.
it's emotional. John always said in Premier League, Manchester, attack al Manchester, and that's it. And you can hear the crowd, hermoso, 1-0
Uh-huh.
in
That's
Spanish.
it. Wow. So it's like the British style kind of in a way, but
Yeah,
in
it's
Spanish.
an style.
Yeah. As a Jim D is
But okay, for me, the goal is the most exciting moment of the soccer game. Uh, I always screen the goal, always, always. It doesn't matter if the goal is the other team. Obviously, the Orlando City's goal, for example, is the most big goal.
right.
But if the other team scores, I have respect for everybody listening my broadcast, and I have to make the goal of the other team.
No, that's right. And he scored, right? So touching back to Orlando City and what's coming for the Lions this upcoming season. What are your expectations? I mean, I know that we have a lot of people that are healthy, like Gaston Jimenez. That we also have Angulo back. He was a surprise last season. We have now Maguire, Duncan Maguire, scoring goals in preseason too. We have Tincho Ojeda, right? Facundo Torres. What are some of the expectations you have for this team and how the front office has definitely stepped up to the plate?
I think Orlando is the way to have a great season. Orlando had a great transfer window, adding more talent, young talent to the team. Ojeda, Ramiro Enrique,
Same.
Gaston is a new sign. Gaston, it's new for the team. Don't play any
Yeah,
game the last year, but I think Orlando have a great team, especially in the offensive. Uh, with Facundo, I think this will be a better year for Erchan Cara. We
hopefully.
don't we don't saw the best from Erchan, and it's important to Orlando, uh, the continuity of Galese or Mauricio Pereira, Johnson, Antonio Carlos. That's the base. But adding these talent people, I think Orlando is in the way to have a great season. I think Orlando is the time to be a main character of the league.
Yeah.
Okay, Orlando. Okay, the first goal 3 years ago was make the playoff. Now we need Orlando with this squad. I think fighting for win
The MLS
the
Cup.
or the conference at least. Okay, get the final, but it's time. It's time.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think the city deserves it. I mean, the support is not just for Orlando City, Orlando Pride also. I mean, devoted supporters. I believe that it's time to, and it's a way to definitely tell people from the other teams around the city, yo, wake up! Like this is soccer. It's taking over, and if you are gonna not put up a better product, then we're gonna take over the city. Right, the sport is gonna take over the city. I mean, Orlando Magic, it's been in rebuild for the last 20 years, so um, and Orlando City, it's been growing and growing and growing. Now with new ownership, even better, right? I mean, you could see the difference. Hopefully, what you believe is true. I would like to see Orlando to make playoffs comfortably, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you
The,
said,
the
we
the
have the
first
team,
the first little goal to make
right?
playoff smooth.
Smoothly. Now, when it comes to Copa America, no, Copa America has been announced. It's going to be in the United States in 2024 with a mixture of CONMEBOL and CONCACAF teams. What are your expectations? You from being from Venezuela, and you've seen also the growth that this league has had, and the country has had, the United States and Canada as well in the World Cup and things like that.
Uh-huh.
What are your expectations regarding that? Those duels that are going to have. We're going to see a change of, a new king will be crowned. Maybe I don't know,
Mhm,
a Concacaf
mhm.
team maybe getting into the final of Copa America.
I think this is the perfect model for the Copa America. We need CONCACAF team playing in the Copa America because it's the Copa America.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the Eurocopa, for example, the whole Europe play.
Yes, yeah.
We need the CONCACAF team for elevate the level of the Copa America and to elevate the level of the CONCACAF team too, because it's not the same for
Right.
Mexico, Canada, United States, with respect, but uh, playing games against other countries that against Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, Chile, Peru. That's the way uh, to elevate the level. Yeah, uh, Venezuela is complicated because we have good process with Jose Peckerman in front. Peckerman
Great
took
coach.
Colombia
Great
to
coach.
the World Cup,
Fantastic coach.
win the under 20 World Cup with Argentina in the past. He's a great coach to reach the goal to stay in the World Cup. But the problem, I commented a few minutes ago. Uh, if you don't have a solid domestic league, it's very difficult to have a great national team. We have players. You mentioned Darwin Machis in Valladolid. We have Salomon Rondon now with River Plate. Here in the MLS,
Jefferson
uh,
Soteldo.
Soteldo is in Brazil. Here in the MLS, Grupo Martinez with
Sí.
Philadelphia, Savarino with Real Salt Lake. We have talent players, but the problem is the domestic league, and it's very complicated for Venezuela. I wish, hopefully, with Peckerman, we can reach the World Cup for first time in the history. It's the great moment because the World Cup on 2026 have a lot
Of options.
of options. Yeah, I think now six from
Six
CONMEBOL.
six plus a playoff.
Oh wow,
So it's like, yeah. So
it's a great opportunity
I tell
for
I tell
Venezuela, for Bolivia, for everybody.
Peru. Yeah, look, I tell, and I'm telling you, and if they're watching too, people from La del Fútbol and also people from Peru. Peru, after it was a botch. I mean, they messed up. I mean, and I would say wholeheartedly, they messed up against Australia, and they killed the I say the illusion and the hope of 33 million Peruvians. They need this 2026 World Cup. Go to the World Cup without a playoff. They need to go directly. They need to go
Hey,
without
you,
without the playoff.
it's amazing. You must to have a very bad tournament to be out.
Yeah, and
Seven of of 10.
yeah, and unfortunately, Sergio, right now, not just it's like Venezuela. Right now, the Peruvian league should have started about 2 weeks ago, and there is a whole issue with the TV rights. And right now, 7 teams are in. They don't want to play, and
Oh.
even Alianza Lima, which is my team, has
Mhm.
lost by walkover. They've lost by walkover for as a protest because of the
Wow,
TV rights, and and
that's a problem.
that is a huge problem because
Yeah.
the league doesn't start, and then you have the friendlies, international friendlies, and then you have you know
And
uh,
the Copa Libertadores
Copa
will start this
Libertadores
week.
is right here, yeah,
Yeah.
and like how are the teams going to play with no they haven't really played anyone in months. So,
It's
anyways,
complicated.
your thoughts on the 2026 World Cup in the United States as well. Like I was saying, do you think? I think you answered this already about Venezuela. That you hope that they make it for the first time
Hmm.
in their history, and I believe they can. Yeah, they have good players. Now, when it comes to Team USA, and after you saw what happened in this year at the World Cup, well, last year at the World Cup, what are your expectations with Team USA?
For 2026?
Hmm.
Well, first, uh, it's an advantage not to play the previous tournament for because United States is home team and is guaranteed to the presence in the World Cup. First, we need to solve the situation about the head coach. Is the first step, I think. Uh, we need. I don't know if Behader is going to keep the position or somebody is coming to be the new head coach. But I think United States have a very good generation of players. Uh, many players uh, right now in Europe in a great level. I think the United States is the main goal for 2026 would be stay in the quarterfinals. I
Right.
think.
Yeah, I also believe the same thing. I think quarterfinals, and people in South America don't believe me. They actually they tell me you're crazy. I'm United States in quarterfinals. It's like, yeah, You just gotta get a good coach, and they gotta get a good coach and someone that's used to managing the locker room, and you got to bring the right people. I think Daryl Dike, his injury, the national team suffered him tremendously because he would have killed it in that tournament. I
Yeah.
think that was the missing piece in the puzzle. With Team Way on the right, and Aronson
Hmm.
in the middle, like he would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
But we wish him the best. We're gonna read some comments before we go. Apopka Mango says que chévere el show. Muchísimas gracias, Apopka Mango. Hola
Thank you so
muchachos.
much. Thank you, everybody. Sorry for my English, but
No, no, great English.
this is an excellent way to practice.
Muy bien, bueno, muy bueno en el inglés. I want to thank Sergio for being with us today. Stick around because at 8:30, 3 hours, LPO will be live. Drop us a comment. Share this video with everyone. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, subscribe to all our social media outlets. Also, Sergio's Instagram, and it's going to be also on the description of the show. So make sure that you subscribe to his Instagram and his social media accounts as well on Twitter. Sergio, anything else you want to add before we go?
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me being here with you. And to Orlando City fans, believe this year will be a great year for Orlando. I think so. And believe in Oscar and in the work of everybody in the staff because I think this will be a great year for Orlando.
Well, Sergio, thank you so much for being here, a part of Loud and Proud Orlando. This has been LPO Talks. There's going to be more guests coming soon. Thank you so much for your time. And vamos, Orlando. We'll see you in a few hours. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.